Tanjiro and Bulbasaur, a crossover nobody asked for, but here we are anyways. Today I'm taking 3 photos of this unlikely duo in a cafe setting, using a Nendoroid doll and a Blokees Bulbasaur. Here is the behind the scenes breakdown of how these shots came to be. Enjoy the video! Tanjiro and Bulbasaur was a combo I didn't expect, but in my mind it should work out. They both have green on them, they're both main characters in their own right, and they both have eyes. So I thought, let's try get a photo of them together, and now here we are. In terms of posing Tanjiro and Bulbasaur, I was stumped. Has anyone ever done such a thing before that I can plagiarize from, or was I about to be the first? It's quite annoying to be original. Regardless, I did a quick Google for Bulbasaur's artwork with a trainer, and found a good reference piece. To be honest, I was mainly drawn to it due to how easy it looked to pose, but no one heard that. As you might expect, the posing was easy for Tanjiro. It's just a generic come-at-me aura farming pose with both feet planted on the floor. Easy enough. Bulbasaur though? Well, posing him was simple. The only concern was the limited points of articulation, and the fact that the Bulbasaur was quite front-heavy, meaning there were limited opportunities to put Bulbasaur in action poses. But as this is the first pose of the day, the boredom of the limited posing hasn't set in just yet, and I only needed to pose the Bulbasaur in a similar fashion to the reference photo. So with the posing of the characters set, it was now time to take the photo of them in the cafe environment. The photo taking itself was fairly standard, all things considered. Main problems I encountered was the fact that the Bulbasaur was way too big in comparison to the reference photo. In the reference photo, you can tell that the Bulbasaur is in line with the trainer, but if I did that for this photo, there's no room to effectively pose both Tanjiro and Bulbasaur together in a synergized fashion due to Bulbasaur's massive caboose. So you can tell in the photo taken that the Bulbasaur has moved forward slightly, which unfortunately greatly insinuates his size, which displays the slight scale mismatch between the Nendoroid doll and the Blokees Pokémon. Honestly though, other than the sizing of the figures, I think the photo worked out well, especially as a warm-up round of sorts. Overall, I quite like the photo all things considered. It's quite generic, but I think Tanjiro's Haori kind of affects the silhouette of the pose, unfortunately. Underneath his Haori he has a slight bend to his elbows, but because of the checkerboard he's wearing, it looks like he's stretching his arms out, which is a look I don't like too much. But all in all, this was a good photo, especially as a way for me to set a benchmark for me to destroy in the next 2 photos that we do. So once again, I don't come into these with an idea in my head already, I just wing these. But to get the head jogging, I looked over to the faceplates I had of Tanjiro and saw one where he had a beaming smile on him. Perfect! No, I didn't have an idea come to me at the moment I said perfect, I just saw what might be a fun face to use for the next photo. So after staring at the photo for 3 seconds, an idea hit me. Bulbasaur and Tanjiro are in a cafe. What do they do in a cafe? You buy food and pose with them for the camera, obviously. So I scoured my Nendoroid accessories to see what items I can give Tanjiro and Bulbasaur, and found a perfect set of food. A cream soda, a hot dog, absolute staples you can find in any cafe. Now with the faceplates and accessories set, the posing began. First off was Tanjiro and his cream soda. Honestly, I don't drink, nor do I go out to cafes, so I don't know what you're supposed to do with a cream soda in your hand, but I do know you raise glasses to people to pretend you're cool with them. So Tanjiro raising a cream soda to the camera was a no-brainer. But that left his left hand with nothing to do. As opposed to leaving it empty-handed, I opted to give him his sword. Is it normal to hold a sword while raising a drink to someone in a cafe? Well, that's the absolute minimum in London. Bulbasaur is next. Honestly, because Tanjiro is raising a glass, why not have Bulbasaur go, "I'll raise a hot dog in your honor." And thankfully this Blokees Bulbasaur came with alternative parts, one of which were vine components that Bulbasaur shows off whenever he wants to look relevant. But now there's another use for it, unnecessarily increasing his presence and taking up too much room in the framing of the photo. Also raising the hot dog in the air, I guess. Now with both characters ready with their poses and actions, let's snap a photo of them without their consent. The actual photo taking process was a little bit on the annoying side. I tend to like making sure there is no wasted space in my photos, but because of Bulbasaur's vines holding the hot dog in the air, that caused me to zoom out a little for the photo to get everything in frame, which annoyingly included unnecessary space. I tried to circumvent this with some Dutch angles, which explains why the photos are at, well, an angle, but there is still 2 points of gappy areas in the photos. Regardless though, I do like the framing of the characters, so there's that. Overall, this photo here, ignoring how spacey it is, I quite like the concept of it. It's nice to see Tanjiro and Bulbasaur look happy before everyone else shows up, and I quite enjoy the lighting. I am quite worried about how this is my life's peak for this session, and photo number 3 is not going to break, heck even meet the standards, but it's do or die. On to the next photo. So after shooting 2 photos, inevitably, I got bored of seeing Tanjiro happy, so I opted to give him an angry faceplate. But that posed an issue. Why is Tanjiro angry? In a cafe of all places? Like I said, I don't do cafes, so it's a struggle for me to be creative enough to think of something coherent. But then it hit me. The angry expression can also pass as a form of extreme concentration. But what is Tanjiro concentrating on? Breathing? Demon slaying? What 2 + 2 equals? But let's not think too hard on it. Let's keep it simple and have Tanjiro concentrate on something everyone else is doing at the cafe. Balancing an oversized sushi on the tip of a katana. So with the idea in place, let's get to posing. So Tanjiro lowers his center of gravity, points his katana up, and balances the sushi on the tip of the blade, while staring at it for dear life in the hopes the sushi doesn't fall to the floor. He intends to eat it after the act. Now I must admit, I did cheat a bit as opposed to literally balancing the sushi on Tanjiro's sword. You see, I used this thing called putty to fix the sushi onto the sword, without the need for me to balance and take the photo before the sushi falls down. It's a good strategy, and it works. Now with Tanjiro's party trick set up, it is now time to take the photo. Oh yeah, Bulbasaur is also there too, but I'm just going to put a sausage on his head and call it a day. Photo taking itself was simple enough. Thanks to the putty, the sushi held the line being balanced on the tip of the sword with Tanjiro fixing his mad gaze onto the sushi. Bulbasaur also existed. Kinda wished he cared enough to at least center the sausage on his head, but you can't expect much from these Pokemon. Overall though, I quite like the shot. Yes, I know the stand is very visible in the shot. Am I gonna edit it out? Of course not. I'd rather spend hours editing a YouTube video than spend 5 minutes masking out the plastic stand. Overall, the photo itself sells the point across in my dishonest opinion. I do feel like maybe Bulbasaur didn't need to be balancing a sausage on his head also, but if that's what past me thought would be cool, then who am I to argue? I also like the pose of Tanjiro balancing said sushi on his sword. Now, I don't know if the photo sells itself as that action, as I am not confident that if a random person were to view this photo for the first time, it would take a minute to understand, but from my eyes, I think it works out just fine. To conclude, I guess, I quite like the photos I took, and definitely a unique experience combining Tanjiro and Bulbasaur in a cafe setting. I suppose with that said, be sure to hit like and subscribe if you made it this far, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.